the session today. So, Katrina, we're at 12:31. You said we'd start on the dot, so
I
come
got
on.
distracted with all these people coming in. Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
it's great, great to see you.
I'll keep an eye on the waiting room there. So if you want to just share your screen there, Declan, and I'll just introduce the session and introduce Declan, I suppose. So I think it's the first time in a long time that we in ICMT we're starting to adopt a nicer way of engaging with the credit community, and this is one of the ways that we're doing it, and it's proven to be a really really effective way of getting everybody into a room to chat about things that are changing, which Declan's going to talk about, in a little while. And obviously, you'll probably know me because I send, several emails. I said to somebody else earlier on, I've turned into a kind of a nagging mammy over the last couple of weeks. Are you ready for the webinar? Do you have the link? The webinar is today. The webinar is today. So sorry for all the emails, but like we're just really keen, as I said, to engage with people, real people who are sitting, working in credit at the moment, and dealing with that kind of ever-changing landscape. So what Declan's going to run through then is obviously, what is changing in credit management in that landscape at the moment, and then talk a little bit about AI and so on. It is going to be a really interactive session. Hopefully, any questions that you've got, please throw them at Declan. He loves questions. Loves being put on the spot. I am recording the session. I just want to let everybody know at the outset there, we are recording, and that's just so that we can we can come back and we can look at it a little bit later. And there's a few people who were really keen to be on the session today, but obviously the day job has to take priority. So I want to send it to them as well. So on that note, I will, Paul is just after asking how long is the session. I think about half an hour, Paul. And then Q&A, like obviously you can drop off whenever you wish. Everybody who's on this webinar now will get a copy of the recording anyway. But I would suggest, if you've got the time, stay on and ask as many questions as you can. So on that note, I shall hand over to Declan.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Katrina. And look, you're all very welcome here today. Great, great, great to see you all, and great just to explore in terms of what's changing in credit management. So those of you who were there earlier for our chat, it's gas that some things change and some things never change. So
Huh?
that's the
Yeah.
world that we live in. So
I just went
certainly
forwards on it. Don't know where it goes to.
from there's
Yeah.
sorry, I can. Yeah, there's some background noise coming
I'm
through
going to actually
there. I
mute
think, Helen,
everybody.
yeah,
Bear with me.
if you can do that now. They're all muted except me. Okay, that's grand. So, and do feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. So, what is changing, and I suppose in some cases what isn't. So what I'm going to do, there's kind of just two parts to it. First is what's changing, and the other is looking at AI and adopting AI. So, in terms of what's changing, the more I analyzed it and the more I went through it, what's changing most of all is business expectations. That is one of the great changes right now. And this is where we can't get stuck in a rut. And to me, the words that I hate most, when you ask somebody, why are you doing something? And the answer comes back, because we've always done it that way. I just go, oh no. Like, is there a possibility that you've been doing it wrong all along? So maybe that's a question that we can start today with as well. So that is the very worst reason to do anything. What we have to do at all stages is to critically analyze what we're doing and look, ask the question, is it working? And if it's working, then that's fine, keep doing it. If it could be done better, if it could be done quicker, if it could be automated, then let's always look at opportunities to do what we do better. So business expectations are changing. And I think there is a focus now on customer expectations. And long since the days of credit control being seen as the kind of anti-sales squad or the sales prevention team or whatever other pet names they have for you, credit control has to be at the heart of the business, at the heart of the whole business function and the customer experience. And we're not at the end of the line picking up pieces from everybody else. And some people regrettably still are there, where they're just tidying up and clearing up queries and sorting out issues and all that kind of stuff. So you need to be right there at the heart. And when it comes to the language of customer experience, the customer experience, a lot of people in the marketing and in the boardrooms think that customer experience is from, ordering and deliveries and product performance. It's a lot more than that. And to me, the whole billing cycle, the accounts and everything else, that's part of the customer experience as well. And like if we care about our customers, then we should be caring about getting our invoices right. We should be care about getting our pricing right. And if you're seen to be the one who's given out all the time and fighting with everybody, and to be honest with you, if you're not fighting with everybody, you're probably not doing your job. So I want to sort of bring you on board with this, that if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm fighting with people, yeah, that goes with the territory. And if you're not fighting, particularly with salespeople, I had a conversation with a sales manager on my very first day on a job. And when I was introduced to him as the new credit manager, before he said, hello, how are you? Or nice to meet you, or whatever the case may be, his comment was in the middle of the open office. So this is the man I'll be fighting with from now on. That was his opening comment to me as the sales manager of the company. And the reason I'm telling you this story many years later is that I was chuffed that I came up with the answer on the spot and not as normal 2 days later when you think about what you should have said. And I just turned around to him and I said, well, I said, if we're not fighting, one of us isn't doing our job. So I stuck with that throughout the year because if a sales manager accepts the word of a credit manager on every single decision I make, then he's not being a sales manager, which is maximizing the sales of the business. And if I accept the salespeople and, because the sky is a different color in their world, then I'm not doing my job as a credit manager to manage the risk and the ledger and the performance and the profit and everything else. So look, yes, there are conflicting priorities. At the end of the day, what we all want is to work for a growing, profitable business. And that's what it's all about. And to me, one of the things that will never change is that credit management is about profitable business. And to me, the profit is only realized when the money hits the bank. So you can show sales, you can show growth, you can show all the other things. If you're not collecting the money, then you are not doing your job and the business will suffer. So part of the message I want you to take away today is about the importance of the role that you have and the importance of credit in business to keep that money flowing, to keep the doors open, to keep the wages paid, to keep the suppliers happy. That is vital from a business perspective, and you are doing a very, very important job. So, in terms of customer expectations, and to be honest with you, I see no contradiction in, being all for a good customer experience. And the customer experience and customer expectations includes paying in full and on time. So, lads, this is how it works. We will supply you with goods for the whole month of April, and we expect to be paid on the 28th of May. And if the 28th is on the weekend, then we need the money on Friday. So that's how it works. Are you happy with that? That's how we're going to operate. So in terms of customer expectations, yes, we give the customer what they want. And at the end of the day, we expect to be paid. And there's no contradiction there whatsoever. So, in terms of, oh, we can't upset our customers. Of course, we can't upset our customers. We're going to send them out correct invoices. We're going to lay our terms out clearly, and then we'll make sure that they deliver on that as well. So that is one of the business things as well. The other business expectation right now is live data. And because of the fast moving nature of business, this thing of posting cash on a weekly basis, I'm sorry, that's for another era altogether. you have to be able to look at your ledger and as far as possible see live data. This thing of overnight routines and all that kind of stuff, that's from a bygone era. We need live data. We need to know what we're looking at is correct and that represents the correct figure. Because as we move into AI and all that kind of stuff, the data that we have is vital. So look at your job very much as sort of quantifying and making sure that you have quality data at all stages as well. In terms of onboarding, we need to have a slick and fast and thorough system for onboarding customers. Like getting account application forms and dealing with them within a week. That is just not going to cut it in today's world. We need an almost instant method of dealing with new account applications, getting them set up, doing whatever risk assessment that's appropriate, and then getting that account open and start doing business with them straight away. So this thing of just sitting back and waiting for things to happen, that is not going to happen. So that's that. The other thing that we need to look at as well is the amount of manual work that we're doing. So credit control typically has been a kind of a manual operation, and God knows I stood there with spreadsheets and highlight markers and going through one list and reconciling accounts, and I've been there, done that, and hopefully you guys have moved on from that. The whole area of wasting time on manual and repetitive processes, you cannot allow that to happen. And part of what I'll ask you to do as a result of being here today is start questioning everything that you're doing. Why am I doing this? Is there a better way to do this? Is there a faster way? And obviously, the fact that AI is integrated into what we're doing now at the moment is, can AI do this for me? Or how can AI help with this? Because AI is the most fantastic tool. It's never going to replace credit controllers ever. So, in terms of if you're worried about job security or whatever, no, the human intelligence, the customer interactions, the knowledge of the customer requirements, AI will never, ever replace your knowledge and your expertise in that area. So just make sure that you become the knowledge center within your business. You are the go-to person. You know everything that's going on in the world. You know what's happening on your ledger. You know what's happening in your customers. And that knowledge and experience can never be replaced by AI. So, and what you should do in your working day is look to increase your knowledge and increase your overall understanding of the business. So not to get stuck in a little trough or into a bunker. You need to be looking out across the business and making sure that everything is happening as it should happen. Because I'll tell you one thing, if anything doesn't happen as it should happen, it will end up on your desk as a query from a customer saying, we're not paying this because. And anything that goes wrong within the business comes back into credit control in the form of a query or a dispute or a row or something. So, you are the person who's best placed to know what the customers need and what the customers' expectations are. And the important thing is that you are listened to within your business. So, and that confidence, and that's part of what we're doing here and what we've been doing for the last number of years, is to give the people confidence to do their job at a level of excellence. The other expectation from a business perspective is in terms of qualified staff as well. And, you know, there is an expectation out there, and particularly among the board. Most people have degree holders or hold masters in business and all that kinds of stuff. And and we started this, God knows, it's nearly 24 years ago now, where we started a diploma in credit management to bring the credit profession to the level of profession. And having that qualification there for over 20 years has, being a mainstay and a great confidence booster for hundreds, almost thousands of credit controllers in the country today. Now, again, in terms of what's changing in credit management, the diploma has changed over the years as well, and we've a whole new chapter now that's completely changed. So rather than giving you information, it's showing you where to get information. There's AI modules, it's interactive, it's a completely different course than the one that started 20 years ago. And it's something that hopefully you'll consider if you have a career in credit management. So if you want to develop your career in credit management, getting qualified is important. If it's just a job and it's beer money, then just make your life as easy as you can. And my advice then is to get out as quickly as you can, because life is too short to spend time doing stuff that you don't like doing. So that is that. Um, as we move on, data integrity is becoming the most important thing as well. AI, as clever as it is, can only work with the data that it's given. And part of your role in credit management, and I see Atul, what three things will a modern credit manager be able to do that I could not? Um, well, in terms of building relationships, that's number one. In terms of a total understanding of, the customer's needs and the business needs and how they integrate, that's the kind of things that we can do. Um, you know, AI is great at number crunching and great at sort of, analyzing data and all that kind of stuff. So if that's what AI does, let AI do that. You know, how you should look at AI is as a tool to help you to do your job better. That's what it is. And if you embrace it as a tool to help you, I've heard it described as an enthusiastic intern. So that's how you should treat your AI models, as an enthusiastic intern who will go off with great enthusiasm to do whatever you want it to do. Maybe they don't always understand the implications of what you're looking for. Um, it will always do its best, and it doesn't have any emotion. So if you tell it it's wrong and you want to do it this way, it'll go off and do that enthusiastically as well. So that is that. Um, so yeah, so Trish as well. Company puts sales above everything else. Um, and every company does, not to feel alone here. Every company does. And the fact of the matter is, and the message that you have to bring to the people at the top is that, look, the only reason we give credit is because it helps us to sell more. That's what we do. We are the sales enablers in credit. We decide who we're going to do business with, if we have a sporting chance of getting paid from them, if they are good eggs. We do the evaluation of the customer, and we measure risk and we measure reward as well. And just back to Atul's question as well, I was talking to a guy who I would admire as one of the greatest credit underwriters in the country. And we were having a conversation a few weeks ago, and he was saying that they have brought AI in as, to do his job as a risk assessor. And what they reckon is that from a number crunching perspective, AI can do it quicker and more accurately than he could. What he brings to the story is the commercial acumen and knowing that if I don't give this customer this limit, that might have a negative impact on the overall business. So while making individual decisions, AI can do that very well. In the overall context, that's where the human comes in. So in terms of, Trish, you're saying in the chat there, in terms of not having access to the AI tools, that's something that you just need. And already it's built in. It's built into your, Copilot. It's built into your Microsoft. We have AI on Google, on phones, on everything now. So AI is part of what we're doing. So we need the access to the tools. Um, and how you sell it is it's not you looking for any special dispensation. It's that you're looking to keep the business vital, to keep it competitive, and to keep up to date with what's happening. So back to the fundamentals though, data integrity is now vitally important. So part of your role is to ensure, I've picked three main files. So if we have the customer file right, which with the correct legal name, the correct contact details, the pricing information, the categories, the addresses, the delivery addresses, whether they want PO numbers, all the kind of information that we need in order to serve them well, that is absolutely vital. If we have product files, making sure that those product files are correct, that we have our right cost pricing, our right sales pricing, our right margins in there as well, our right units and all the kind of stuff that happens, getting that right. And then the third thing is the pricing files. So pricing is a matrix and one of the most complicated things we could do. And in any company that I have ever been a credit manager in, sooner or later, I took ownership of pricing. And the marketing people, lovely people, and they live in a different world to the rest of us. And the sky is definitely a different color in their world. So while they know about, promotions and all that kind of stuff, how to implement it on a customer by customer basis, they haven't a clue. And I found that for credit management to take ownership of that area. So what I did in my career, and for those of you who don't know me, I spent 20 odd years as a credit manager. So I've been there and done that. And I found that that to me, the every invoice that left our building was a reflection on me personally. So if there was an invoice wrong, I am the credit manager. I am the person who wants to get paid, every invoice. So that meant, billing, master file maintenance and everything else. The more I took ownership for, number one, the more I earned. Number two, the bigger the job became. And number three, the better it was. So just make sure that you're seen as the person who knows what needs to happen. And we need to have a renewed commercial focus as well. So it's not just about managing risk and having no bad debts and all that kind of stuff. It's about looking at the big picture. And the big picture is in terms of the profitability of the business. That's where we need to go. So in terms of see yourself as the owner of the lead to cash cycle. It's not invoice to cash. It's not debtors to cash. It's the lead. So we start with the lead, we qualify them, then they become customers, then they become payers and all that kind of stuff, all the way to the money in the bank. So when it comes to AI and implementing AI, I've told you, look, it's just a tool. And the reality is, if you don't embrace AI and the changes in business, you will become a victim of it and you will become redundant. So part of being, the expert within the business in terms of knowing the customers, knowing the business, knowing what's going wrong, knowing what has to be fixed, I would highly recommend that you become the AI gurus as well. And the great thing is, I heard a few months ago when AI was in its infancy, somebody said, the job of the future is going to be called prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is how do you engineer the prompt that you give to AI in order to get the results that you require. Guess what? AI will give you the prompt you require. Just ask AI. So if I want a spreadsheet that will do this, what prompt do I need to give you to get it? So it's actually gone that good now that you can ask it for the prompt and say, look, I want, you know, my age debtors to highlight in pink anybody who's over 37 days. What prompts do I need to give you in order to get that information? And it will give you if it's Excel, it will give you the Excel formula that you copy and paste into your spreadsheet and do it. It's phenomenal and it's only restricted by your mindset and your thinking. So if you can imagine AI is every PhD student in the world, it knows as much as every PhD student in the world. So in terms of knowledge, you have to ask the right questions. So that's what it's all about. And you also have to treat it with a bit of suspicion, like the enthusiastic intern that we spoke. So the first thing is, in terms of adopting AI, start with AI. How can AI do this? How can AI help me? And if you don't know, ask AI. Just chat GPT into your stuff. How can I do this? How do I do that? Can you explain this in more detail? How would I segregate this? How can you automate an email? How can you revise an email? Can you compose an email? Can you know, and then when he composes the email, you can say, yeah, that's fine. Can you make it a bit friendlier? Or can you make it a bit more formal? Or can you know, Jerry's a Man United fan, maybe put a joke in there, which probably wouldn't be appreciated today. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So think AI first. In terms of spreadsheets and reports, integrate them. Whatever report you want, AI can do it for you. Just ask it. You can upload your spreadsheets and say, now, can you give me this information in this particular format? That's part of what AI can do. You can load in a set of accounts and say, give me a risk analysis, or what's the credit score for this guy. You can load in 5 years and say, tell me what are the trends in this business. And in particular, now this is where credit control is different than everybody else. In a business analyst and an accountant, when they're looking at a set of accounts, they'll be looking at growth and they'll be looking at sales. When I'm looking at a set of accounts, and you as a credit professional, when you're looking at a set of accounts, the most important thing to us is solvency, is their ability to pay their bills. So when I'm looking at a set of accounts, I'm not all that impressed by sales. I'm not all that impressed by growth. What I am concerned with is, are they profitable, and are they collecting the money that they're due, and are they in a position, and will they be in a position to pay their bills as they fall due? So, when you are giving AI instructions, it's not to analyze the accounts from a growth perspective, it's from a credit and risk perspective and their ability to pay their bills going forward. Credit scoring, again, you can develop your own models. AI can develop models for you. Just ask it, for credit scoring, and it can do it. It's all the information is in there already, and all you have to do is ask it. So risk assessment, customer segmentation, payment performance, it can look at patterns for the last 2 years and say, look, they always pay on the 10th of April, because I don't know, they have something at the end of March that they have to pay. So we can see trends and know if they're deviating from trends, or if they're, you know, if a customer always pays on the fourth of the month. Yes, you always have 2 months in the age debtor column at the end of the month. They always pay on the fourth. It can analyze that and say, well, look, that's not really a high risk. But this guy always paid on the 28th, and then it was the 29th, and now it's the 3rd, and now it's the 4th, and they're slipping every month. So that's a high risk behavior, and it can analyze those trends and throw out exception reports to you straight away. From a fraud detection perspective, it can work out the norms. So if anything sort of jumps out at you, AI is very good at picking that up. And particularly if you have thousands of balances on a ledger, and, some very big balances, some of the smaller balances, could jump and you wouldn't even notice it. So using AI to sort of throw their eye over the whole ledger and look at the trends and identify where there's been jumps of more than X%, that can kind of, highlight it for you. And then you go and do the job, you know. So that's that. Customer interactions, chatbots and virtual assistants, they're there. And Atul, again, I see you're asking a question there. Do I see collections as being replaced by AI? Some of it will be. Some of it will be. And like, there are chatbots out there right now that can talk to people, can listen to people, can understand people, can deal with queries. The intelligence is there. Now, if you are going down that road, you might decide, look, I have 1,000 customers on my list. I'm going to mind the top 30 because that's where 90% of my money is. So I'm going to mind the top 30 and get to know them and build relationships with them and make sure everything is fine. For anything below that, the other 970, we get a chatbot to ring them. And again, you retain responsibility for the chatbot. It does the work, you retain responsibility. You give it its brief, you give it its whatever. And yes, and what I would do is I would come clean and say, look, I am a virtual assistant. So if there's a long waiting time on the call, you say, look, it's going to take 5 minutes to connect you to an operator. My name is Aidan. I'm your AI assistant. And if you want to ask me a question, maybe I can help you while you're waiting. So don't try to fool them into thinking it's a person. Tell them it's a bot, and maybe I can help you. And if they take half the calls and deal with them, and the customer's happy, then why not? The key customers will always need human involvement as well. And it can automate your flows, it can create your emails, it can create your letters, it can, highlight actions for you as well. So from an efficiency and from a compliance perspective, it is huge. So that is that. So and there are software packages out there that talk to people, and there's even a temperature control on it where if you turn it down low, it talks like a robot and says, I am a robot. And you can turn it up and up and up to saying, yeah, how are you? Kind of, and it can pick up accents and it can pick up, and you can teach it as well, So if you have an AI model yourself and you log in and pay for premium, it's only 20 quid a month. It gets to know you and your style, and it can replicate your style as well, and it can represent your image and your voice and everything else as well. So just be aware of that. So one other thing, I said half an hour and I've gone 31 minutes. The other thing, what I would do if I were you is identify repetitive tasks. Ask AI, how can we do this better? Ask AI, what is the best way to do this? I have 1,000 accounts. How do I handle them? How do I break it down? Be careful if you have a free version and an open version, loading up debtors ledgers and that sort of stuff, where because you don't really know where the data is going. So just be very, very careful from a data integrity perspective and from a GDR perspective, GDPR, putting in personal details and all that kind of stuff. So, certainly talk to your IT people, and you can get closed networks and all that kind of stuff. So just be careful from a security perspective, and then just use it, because that's what it's all about. It's there to be used. It's not going away. It will make mistakes, and it will go off the wall. So you need to keep supervising it as if it is the enthusiastic intern. And just the final thing I want to say to you as well, in terms of what AI can replace and what it can't replace. In November of this year, for the 10th time, we are holding the Credit Team of the Year Awards. And I just want to make you all aware of that as well. We've been running it for 10 years, where the industry comes together to recognize excellence in credit management. And, to me, it's one of the most important days of the year, because so often credit management is not recognized or appreciated. So we have one day every year. There is an application process. It's free to apply. I would highly recommend you do it, even from a team building perspective. If you're shortlisted, then you will be invited to attend the lunch. It's on the 20th of November in the Royal Marine Hotel. There'll be about 400 credit professionals there, the best in the business. And it's probably my favorite day of the year. And I hope that some of you will even consider applying and becoming part of it and aspiring to excellence in credit management, because no matter what happens from a technological perspective, that is never going to change. So that is that. So that's all I have to say. There are contact details. If you want to talk to us about diplomas, if you want to talk about awards, if you want to talk about training, if you want to talk about education, if you want to talk, and just I'm a sad credit person, you know, I'm a lifelong credit person who knows nothing else at this era of my life. So look, we are happy to help and we are happy to point you in the right direction. And even if something comes up, the fact that you've met us here today, you know, reach out to us and you say, Deck, yeah, we're supposed to be the fountain of knowledge. I know nothing. Well, you know, if you ask me, you know, to point you in the right direction, over the last number of years, I have met most of the industry experts. I know most of the people out there. And if I don't know the answer myself, I will admit it straight away and I will point you in the right direction. So that is what I will tell you that I can do. So look, I'll give you an opportunity, Katrina, maybe to encourage questions if we stop the recording now so they're not on the record. How
Yeah,
about
no,
that?
that's fine. But I just wanted to mention that we do have a diploma starting in May.
Oh,
And
you do, yeah, you
look,
see,
I
that's
think
why.
everybody, you see, Declan gets carried away. As soon as you mention the credit awards, that's it. He's already gone to November. Look, everybody on this webinar, we've had over 50 people who came onto this webinar while Declan was talking. Every single person that took the time out to log in and attend this webinar is obviously interested in learning, development, the changing credit landscape, and what we're all dealing with on a day-to-day basis. If you want to get ahead of the curve, and if you want to be able to handle those changes and handle AI just the very same as Declan has just been telling you to do so, you need to do the diploma. There's just no two ways about it. The diploma will give you the tools to be able to do everything that Declan just mentioned. So if anybody does want information, I'll be making contact with everybody anyway. But just to make that clear that, you know, the diploma is really the way to do it, and it puts you ahead of, you know, everybody else, ahead of your colleagues and so on. So yeah, I will stop the recording. That's absolutely no problem. And if
Yeah.
anybody wanted to ask some questions,